Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Today we're going to... Very good. Today we're going to start off with lecture number 2 for Fundamentals of Marketing course. We're covering chapter number 1. We're off with the second lecture for chapter number 1. The name of the chapter is Marketing, Creating and Capturing Customer Value. We'll firstly quickly give a recap to what we did in the yesterday's lecture, and then we're gonna start off. So what did we do in the previous lecture? We started off with the definition of marketing. What was the definition of marketing? Creating Marketing is a process by which companies create value, build strong relationship in order to capture value from customer in return. We're going to dissect this definition further today with marketing process. So we started off with the marketing process. The first step was understanding marketplace and customer needs and wants. We differentiated between need, want, and demand. So what is need? It is felt deprivation. Felt deprivation is what? Something that exists in nature. There's a biological requirement. We talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We've done this before in the previous courses. So we talked about that. So we said need is something that is inherent in nature, that exists whether and it's not created by marketers. What is created by marketers? Want. And want is governed by the culture and the personality of the individual. So we both may be belonging to the same culture, yet our personalities might result in we choosing different products. So for instance, I might go to the market, I'm thirsty with my friend, she might choose a cola, I might choose a let's say a fresh orange juice maybe. So our personalities and our culture affects our wants. And what affects our demand? Our buying power. How much money do I have in my pocket? That would affect the demand for a certain product. So that's how you differentiate between need, want, and demand. Then we talked about market offering. So what is market offering? Anything that is presented in the market for selling. So kya ho sakta hai? What can be?
Products, services.
What is a product? A product can be a good, a product can be a service. So good is anything that is tangible in nature and service is intangible. We're going to differentiate the two later in the course. Okay? Then we talked about value and satisfaction. So we said customers have expectation regarding value from the product that they buy. We're going to dissect what is value later in today's lecture. And marketers must decide to deliver that value. And we talked about under-promising and over-promising. What did we say? What do marketers have to do? They have to promise right. Okay? They have to promise what they can deliver. And once they promise what they can deliver, if they do slightly higher than that, then the customer is delighted. And that delight would lead to customer satisfaction, in turn customer loyalty, and that's what we want in marketing. Okay, ji? And we said a good customer, a satisfied customer would talk to the other customer, and there's nothing more than a good word of mouth. So it is an excellent source for promotion of your product if you have a good word of mouth. Then we talked about market. What is market? Where actual buyers and sellers meet. Then in the second step, we were talking about designing a customer-driven marketing strategy. Now we talked about customer-driven marketing strategy is a strategy where customer is the king. Customer comes in the center place. He's the one जिसके against सारी strategy घूमेंगी. So customer would be the center point for the customer-driven strategy. Now, in order for customer to be the center point, you need to understand the customer. And how would you understand the customer? By identifying the customer. How would you identify the customer? By identifying their preferences. How would you identify the preference? By segmenting the market. So this is a bigger market. You segment the market. You create smaller chunks of the market. And then you pick one chunk. And then you study it further, design a product that is specifically designed for that chunk. Right? So that is identifying your target market. Once you've done that, then you come to value proposition. What is value proposition? How can you serve the customer? What value can you give the customer to satisfy him? That is value proposition. And that's what customer-driven marketing strategy is all about. Then we were down to philosophies for designing marketing strategy, and that's the topic for today. Today we're going to see if you're designing a customer-driven marketing strategy, how or what different orientations a company might adopt. Now, there's no right orientation. Let me put it here first. There is no right way of doing business. It is whatever works for you. So Pepsi and Coke, they have very different business models. Yet they're both very successful companies. So that means there's no one right way of doing business. It is always about what works for you. So today we're going to see different orientations that are there in marketing, and based on these orientations you make your strategy, your marketing strategy. So the first orientation is called the production concept. Now, production concept says that consumer favor products that are easily available and are affordable. So you need to make products efficiently. So if you make the products efficiently, they would be affordable. आप wastage नहीं कर रहे हैं, you're not wasting anything out. That means the product is being made efficiently. There are no wastages, you're saving, and as a result of which your product would end up being inexpensive. So you need to make product that is inexpensive, affordable, and then it needs to be easily available. That means the amount of production or the number of units that you produce, they need to be quite a number. Agar number mein honge, only then they would be easily available. So two things are important in production concept. The things need to be, the product needs to be easily available and it needs to be affordable. So you're looking at production and operations efficiency. Productions and operations efficiency hogi to kya hoga? You'll be able to produce more units and you'll be able to produce units at lower cost. Now, example given in your book is that of Lenovo. Now, Lenovo is a company that has been very successful in Chinese market. Now, Chinese market is a market that is very price elastic. So they produce products that are easily available and are inexpensive. So that's why Lenovo is highly successful in Chinese companies. Okay? The Chinese economy also works on production concept. You cannot necessarily all the companies, but many of the companies work on production concept whereby they produce products at very affordable rate and in large numbers. So you have Chinese products being flooded into the markets of North America, Asia, or talk about any place. So that's because they work on which concept? Production concept. Produce a lot and produce affordable. What is the drawback of production concept here?
It might lack the quality, I guess, is inexpensive.
Inexpensive. So the problem with production concept is sometimes the customer satisfaction may be overlooked. Right? So if you're making a product that is very affordable, customer may not be very satisfied with that product. So in order to make the customer satisfied, you need to ensure that you're producing quality product. But that's not always true. Sometimes customers are looking for affordable products. So the drawback in production concept is that the customer's satisfaction may be overlooked. Now coming down to the second concept, that is the product concept. The product concept says consumer will favor products that offer most in quality, performance, and innovation. So if your product is very innovative, very good quality, superior performance, your product should sell in the market. That is the second way of designing your marketing strategy. Now, the problem with this particular approach is called marketing myopia. You'll see this problem arising in many of the approaches. Now, what is marketing myopia? Have you studied this before? Marketing myopia is a term that is used when you're so much involved with your product that you don't seem to care for anything else. Your product remains your center point. Now, to exemplify, we'll take the example of Nokia. Now, at one point, Nokia was such a successful company that it accounted for 4% of Finnish GDP. 4% of Finnish GDP, that's quite a number. Okay? एक company 4% आपके GDP को दे रही हो, that means your economy is quite dependent upon that one company, right? So this was the scale at which Nokia was operating. It never realized that a new company would come in and give the company such a tough time. So when Android phone came in, it took over the market. And Nokia never realized that Android could do that. So they were thinking their product was far too superior to be taken over by another company. So that is marketing myopia. They thought the product was so superior that it could never be replaced. They never realized that the product could be replaced with a superior technology. So this is marketing myopia. Same goes for Kodak. Kodak never realized that the time for digital cameras has come. And now they need to innovate themselves. They need to introduce digital cameras in their product range. They never realized that, as a result of which many of the companies that were producing digital cameras, they took over. So you need to realize that your product needs to stay relevant all the time in the market. You need to change with the changing environment. You need to realize that the environment is in continuous flux. It's continuously changing. Every day is a new day. And you need to realize that to stay relevant in the market, you need to innovate. You need to stay focused on whatever the need of the changing need of the customer is. So customer needs is always changing. So need to make sure that you're keeping a track of the changing customer needs. If you would not do that, you'll face marketing myopia and soon you'll be kicked out of business. And that's what you don't want. Right? So that's the problem with product concept. Question? Yes? Who has a question? Marketing myopia नहीं समझ में आया? चलिए. Marketing myopia is कि आप एक product बनाते हैं, आपको product बड़ा अच्छा लगता है, ठीक है? आप ये regard ही नहीं करते कि customer की need change हो रही है, ठीक है? Customer might not want your product. You think your product is superior, but it might not be given the market circumstances. ठीक है? So आपकी बुक में बड़ी अच्छी एग्जाम्पल लिखी है of a mouse trap. आप बड़ी superior mouse trap बनाते हैं, ठीक है? चूहे पकड़ने के लिए वो जो होता है ना, वो बनाते हैं, ठीक है? Now आप रियलाइज ही नहीं करते कि मार्केट में दवाइयाँ भी अवेलेबल हैं जो चूहे मार देंगी, ठीक है? और भी डिफरेंट चीज़ें अवेलेबल हैं जो कि इस मसले को हल कर देंगी. बट यू थिंक यू मेक अ वेरी सुपीरियर माउस ट्रैप एंड यू कीप ऑन मेकिंग इट. सून यूल रियलाइज कि आपसे बेहतर टेक्नोलॉजी मार्केट में अवेलेबल थी, लोगों ने वो यूज किया और आपका माउस ट्रैप अब कोई नहीं लेना चाहता. ठीक है. सो दैट मीन्स you were too focused on your product. You don't have to be too focused on your product. You need to make sure that you're focused on the changing customer need rather than the product. ठीक है, समझ में आता है? चलिए जी. The next concept is the selling concept. The selling concept says that customer would buy products that of the companies that adopt large-scale selling and promotion efforts. So you do large-scale selling, promotion efforts, and the product would sell. For instance, insurance companies. If you're working in an office setting, har dusre teesre din you'll see somebody coming to you, trying to sell you insurance, trying to sell you a credit card. So that is all based on selling concept. You know, personal sellers are coming to you, they're trying to convince you that you need this product, and they'll try to sell you, and that is the only way in which the product would sell. That's what selling concept says. Now the drawback of selling concept is it sometimes emphasizes too much on selling and not on customer relationship building. So sometimes it's really annoying when you have to say no to every other day somebody comes over, you have to tell them, please don't come, I don't want a credit card, I don't want an insurance policy. It sometimes is quite a fatigue for the customer himself. So sometimes it overlooks on building relationship and focuses too much on selling the product. So that's the drawback of selling concept. And it wants to sell the product that they make rather than what the market wants. So whatever I make, I want to sell that, and I don't regard for whatever market wants. So maybe the market wants some other form of insurance or some other way of tailoring the insurance rather than whatever I am trying to sell as a marketer. So you need to understand the needs of the customer. You need to tailor your product according to the needs of the customer. So that's a drawback of selling concept. The fourth concept, marketing concept. The marketing concept holds that organization goals depend on knowing the needs and wants of target market and deliver them desired satisfaction better than competitors. So that's the marketing concept. It talks about understanding the needs of the customer. Identify the target market. Whatever we did in the last lecture, identify the target market. Ask them what they need, design what they need, sell what they need, and sell them better than the competitor. So that's what marketing concept is all about. So for instance, what Diet Coke does, it tells customer that you need to be fit and tells them that we'll deliver you Diet Coke which is of good quality and good taste. So you need to convince the customer that the product that we're offering is of good taste. So that is marketing concept. Now, whenever somebody is consuming Coke, he expects a good taste. If they're asking for a Diet Coke, they expect a good taste in that product as well. So they're convincing the customer that we are offering you Diet Coke, but it tastes the same as or pretty much similar as a regular Coke. So that's a marketing concept. Drawback with this concept. The drawback with this concept is it sometimes overlooks the society. So what is best for the society, sometimes it overlooks that. It just addresses the needs of the customer, not realizing if it's good for the society or not. That brings us to our last orientation, which is societal concept. Now, societal concept is based on a pyramid where there is society on one end, company on one end, and the customer on one end. So it tries to balance out short-run gains and the long run gains. So you need to make a market offering that is good for the customer and good for the society at the same time as well. So you need a strategy that is good for both the short run and the long run. That's what societal concept talks about. Now your book has an example of Johnson & Johnson's. It has a whole statement that tells that profits are not as important as customers' well-being. Although these days, agar aap follow kar rahe hain media, there's a suit going on. There's a case going on in which Johnson & Johnson's have been accused of using ingredients that are carcinogenic, that cause cancer, in I think baby powders and lotions and all that, and they're defending that case. I don't know वो case कहाँ तक पहुँचा है, so maybe आप घर जाएं, आज जाके देखिएगा कि वो case कहाँ तक पहुँचा है. We'll talk about it in Monday's class. ठीक है जी? So this particular example, Johnson & Johnson, is that in your book. But whatever is currently happening, that's not reported since it's the 2013 edition. So आज जाके देखिएगा what sort of legal battle is Johnson & Johnson fighting in representing themselves as a friendly company. Question so far? I'm giving you 2 minutes. Have a look at it. If there's a question, we'll take it. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next part. So, any questions?
Ma'am, Diet Coke is good for our health. So why in marketing concept? Why do you see it as an example in marketing concept? Like it's also the needs, fulfill the needs, and also
It's good for the society? Really?
Diet Coke as compared to the other.
We've placed it in this particular concept for the fact that it's trying to address the need of the customer. Now, as a customer, if you're consuming Coke, you expect it of a certain taste. If you're consuming Diet Coke, you want the same taste. So what marketing concept have they employed? They're trying to convince you as a customer that it's Diet Coke, it's healthy for you. At the same time, it tastes the same as regular Coke. Okay? So what they're trying to do, they're trying to address your need. Okay? Colas are never good for health. Okay? No matter how much you would want to convince somebody, they're not, you know, it's not, whether it's a Diet Coke, whether it's a regular Coke, it's not good for health. Okay? But what they're trying to convince you is, they're trying to sell you Diet Coke in the same taste as you want, as regular Coke. So yeah, that's why you would not put them in the societal concept. That's because it's not good for society. But marketing concept में डाल सकते हैं because you're understanding the need of the customer. चलिए जी. Coming down to step 3, that is construct an integrated marketing program that delivers superior value. Now, talking about what is integrated marketing. Now, when we talk about integrated marketing, we're essentially talking about marketing mix. What is marketing mix? Here we'll keep it simple. We'll talk about 4 P's. What are 4 P's? Product, price, place, promotion. Now these are the 4 P's of marketing mix. How do you integrate these 4 tools into communicating a seamless idea? Now let me explain it. Let's say you claim that your product is, in your promotions you claim your product is highly affordable. And yet the pricing that you do is very expensive. That means the marketing mix is not aligned. It's not seamless. It's not integrated. On one end, you're offering a very expensive product. On the other hand, you're trying to promote your product as an inexpensive product. Now, these are in complete contrast with each other, right?
Yes.
So that means that the marketing strategy or marketing program is not well integrated. Make sense? So how do you define integrated marketing? Integrated marketing is an approach to creating a unified and seamless experience for consumer to interact with brand enterprise. That means wherever you're interacting with the brand, it should have the same information available. So whether you log on to the website, whether you go interact with their sales representative, whether you see a television advertisement of that same brand, it should all communicate the same. That is an integrated marketing program. So in third step, you need to create an integrated marketing program. So what have we done so far? We have understood the need. We have designed a customer-driven marketing strategy, and now we are on to creating an integrated marketing program using the marketing mix, that is product, price, place, and promotion. We're going to study all these tools of marketing mix in detail in the coming chapters. Now coming down to the fourth step, build profitable relationships and create customer delight. Now, when we talk about profitable relationships, we are essentially talking about relationship that you would have with your customer and the relationship that you would have with your partner. Now, we would study both these concepts separately. Firstly, we'll study the customer relationship management, the CRM. Now, how does the book define CRM? It is the overall process of building and maintaining profitable relationship by delivering superior customer value and satisfaction. So to deliver superior customer value and satisfaction, two elements or two building blocks to creating customer relationship management or maintaining customer relationship. Now coming down to what is customer value. Can anybody define customer value for me? We've been talking about it a lot. It was, huh?
Like what customer wants.
What customer wants. Now, what is customer value? Customer value is actually the difference between the benefits and the costs of the marketing offer. So let's say if this is the phone and it costs, let's say 2 lakh rupees, is it worth it? No, it's not worth it. It's not offering the value that you would want. So, आपकी value क्या हो जाएगी? 0 हो जाएगी. Okay? So what is customer value? Customer value talks about the benefits and the costs. If the cost is more and the benefit is less, then that means the customer would not be satisfied. The customer would think that he would overpay. And if he would overpay, he would think that he would not want to buy the product. Right? What if it is the other way around? The value is more and the cost is less? The customer would think he would be better off buying the product. Right?
Yes.
So he would end up buying the product. Now here, the concept of over-promising, under-promising, and delight comes. So, let's say you promise and you deliver. That means your customer would be satisfied. So coming down to the second point, customer satisfaction, the extent to which the perceived performance matches the buyer's expectation. So if you deliver what you've promised, it would lead to a satisfied customer. If you deliver more than what you promised, it leads to a delighted customer. And if you promise, if you under-deliver what you promise, that means it would lead to a dissatisfied customer. Now, important point here that you need to understand is consumer irrationality. Now, consumer does not think objectively. For him, 1 + 1 is equal to 2. It is not true in the market. Consumer is a very irrational being. Think about a time where a bride chooses a lehenga for her wedding, spending 16-17 lakh in Elan. Yeah, Elan is a brand for those who don't know. ठीक है, 16-17 लाख का लहंगा खरीदना, does that make sense to you? It doesn't. It doesn't. You can get a cotton shirt here at Cambridge and you can go to Armani and get a cotton shirt. The quality slightly better maybe for Armani, but it's not as better as much as you would pay for Armani, right? So paying that amount of money for Armani, does that make sense to you? That's because customer is, or consumer is, irrational. For him, 1 + 1 is not equal to 2. He does not, or he cannot think objectively. Many of us cannot think objectively. Many a times we go to the market, we end up buying things that we don't need. And we cannot explain why we bought them. That's because as a consumer, we are all irrational. We cannot justify, many a times we cannot justify our purchases. We want it, we get it. And that's where customer value comes. So Cambridge makes shirts, Armani makes shirts. But for you, the perceived customer value for Armani shirts is more than what you will get at Cambridge. You'll get the same lehenga at Fashion Kagar and a copy version at Fashion Kagar and a 16 lakh lehenga from Milan. Both may be the same. But if you have money in your pocket, you would want to buy from Milan. That's because the perceived customer value, your expectation of benefit from that is more. What benefit are we talking here? Luxury. So if I go tell somebody I bought a lehenga for myself from Milan, that's quite a statement. I'm wearing a shirt from Armani, that's quite a statement. But if I'm wearing a shirt from, let's say, Gakhar Plaza, that does not make a statement. Sorry? Commercial market, selling. That does not make a statement. So what we're trying to make, the point that we're trying to make here is that the customer is irrational. And the perceived value varies from person to person. For the same product, the perceived value for a certain brand may be more, and for a certain brand it may be less.
And how can a company like Nike and Caterpillar can survive in such markets here?
Can you elaborate your question, please?
I meant to say that how can a company like Nike and Caterpillar, which are so expensive, can stay in a market like Pakistan or Asia?
You're talking about affordability?
Yes.
When a company comes over in countries like that, they do their working of what is the scope of their market. And they send the products accordingly, right? So if they think that people cannot afford the product, you would not find a Nike shop in Afghanistan. You cannot, right? Because the per capita income is very low. So if they're establishing shops here, then that means they've started that the per capita income allows this amount of sales in this particular region. Why don't you find Nike shops in, let's say, far-flung areas of Thar or, Sakhar? ठीक है? क्यों नहीं होती? That's because the per capita income there does not allow people to buy the product. They cannot create the demand, right? So the companies, before coming to a market, they study if the market has the potential to buy the product, if they can convert the want into demand. Okay? So that's why you have a lot of studies done prior, feasibility studies done prior to, before you enter a certain market. Or question? Any other question? No question? Really? We're still on step 4. Build profitable relationships and create customer delight. This was a sort of grid that was made in one of Harvard's review studies. It talks about customer relationship groups. Now here you can see there is profitability and there is projected loyalty. So on one axis you have projected loyalty and on the other axis you have profitability. Now here you can see this is high, this is low. This is short term, this is long term. Now let's see what the grid talks about. Now firstly we'll talk about butterflies. Now, who are butterflies? Butterflies are those people who are highly profitable, yet they're short-term customers, right? So that is how a butterfly customer would look like, right? Now, what does that mean? If it's if he's highly profitable, that means there's a good fit between what he wants and what you're offering. So your market offering is what he wants. But what is the drawback here? He's a short-term customer. He would switch to other brands. So he would give you profit, but not in the long run. So what is the strategy for dealing with such butterflies? The good idea would be to keep giving them certain promotions every now and then to sort of convert them into, you cannot really convert them into long-term customers, but you can increase the time of their relationship with you by providing them with superior promotions. So you keep giving them promotions, you keep giving them advantage of having a relationship with you. So for instance, let's say, what could be the example? क्या example हो सकती है? So for instance, if there's a tourist, he comes to Pakistan very frequently, Serena keeps on giving him certain advantages so that he may be he keeps on using Serena's services. If the customer or the tourist does not get those promotions, he'll switch to Marriott, he'll switch to Ramada or some other hotel. So what Serena does is it keeps on offering them with different promotions. So that is how you tackle butterflies. You keep on giving them certain advantages of maintaining a relationship with you. On the other hand, there are strangers. There's little fit between what you are offering and what they want, and they're short term as well. So you cannot really do much about them. They would eventually go, right? So you don't have to do anything about them. If they maintain a relationship, good. If they don't, you let them go, right? So that's the relationship you have with these types of customers. Now coming on to the third grade, that is the true friends. Now this is the group that you want to retain. Now these are the people who have a good fit between what you're making and what they want. So आपकी market offering and whatever they want, it's a good fit. And secondly, they're long term. So they would provide you with steady streams of profit. ठीक है जी? So it's a win-win situation for both. They're getting what they want and they're giving you what you want. So there's a win-win situation for both the parties. So these are true friends. These are the ones that you would want to invest into retaining, right? You will keep on giving them good quality product. You will keep on changing, altering your product according to their needs. You will keep on trying to serve them better and work on building superior relationship with them. Coming down to this one, barnacles. These are the people, they have limited fit and they're short term. Now these are the people or these are the customers that a company might want to get rid of. Now these are the people or the customers which are a burden for a company. Like, for instance, in banks, you have people who use your banking services, but they're not very profitable. बहुत ज़्यादा पैसे उनके account में नहीं होते, ठीक है? So that means they are a burden for maintaining their account is a burden for the bank. They're not making enough profit out of those customers, right? So what the companies do, they either want to change this particular group into true friends, or they want to get rid of them by not serving them. Maybe they would want to increase the fee of maintaining the account. Maybe they'll, not provide them enough services that they keep on using your account, right? So you can adopt different tactics to get rid of such customers who are a burden for your company. So need to see where the customer falls, and according to that you need to decide what sort of relationship strategy you would want to maintain with the customer. So for butterflies, you would want to keep on promoting. For strangers, you would not want to do much. For barnacles, what would you want to do? You either get rid of them or you convert them into true friends. There are only two ways. Then true friends you would want to retain. Questions in this grid?
Ma'am, how do we identify that these customers are
They're using the product for a longer period of time. Let's say we're taking the example of true friends. They're providing you with profit, and let's say they've been associated with you for, let's say, 5 years. That means they're true friends, right? Butterflies are the people who are giving you profit, but you know they would keep on switching. So आज आइसक्रीम आएंगे, कल UBL है, कल कोई और बैंक है, ठीक है? So that's how you know which category they fall into. Now coming down to the second element, we just talked about customer relationship management. How can you maintain relationship with your customer? But if you see the title, it says building a profitable relationship. Okay? So profitable relationship is not just with your customer, but it's with your partners at the very same time as well. When I talk about partners, I'm talking about inside partners and outside partners. So inside partners are the partners which are actually your employees. Anybody who is within the organization is representing the organization, right? So if he's representing the organization, then you need to ensure that you have a certain relationship with that person so that he can exhibit your company better. That is what integrated marketing communication talks about. Every person in the organization should exhibit the same value that the company talks about all throughout its communications. So somebody who is in the operations, somebody who is on the front desk, they should all communicate the same value to the people. So for that you need to build relationship with both the inside partners of the company, that are the employees, and the outside partners. With the outside partners, we just talked about customers, bete. We just talked about customers. We're not talking about customers. Outside partners are your distributors, your retailers, your marketing intermediaries. Intermediaries kaun si hoti hai? What are marketing intermediaries? All the people that help you to take the product to the end customer. So all those are marketing intermediaries. So you need to build a relationship with your distributors, with your retailers, with your wholesalers. Why would you want to do that? Because at the end of the day, the value delivery is dependent upon how these people perform. So if you don't maintain a good relationship with these people, you will not be able to deliver the value that you promised. So for delivering the value, you need to have a good relationship with them. आपका distributor अच्छी तरीके से distribute नहीं कर रहा है, it's not reaching out to the customer, the sort of market coverage that you want, it's not providing you with that. How would you you know, at the end of the day, deliver the value that you've promised? You would not be able to, as a result of which customer would be dissatisfied and you would lose a customer. And losing a customer means you've lost the whole stream of revenue, a whole stream of profit that particular customer would have given you throughout his lifetime. ठीक है जी? So that you don't want that. Question so far? No question? इसको 1 मिनट के लिए देखिए जहाँ तक जो पढ़ा है. We'll take question if there's any, otherwise we'll move on to step number 5. Questions? No question? Let's get down to the 5th part, the final part of the marketing process. Now it says capture value from customers to create profit and customer equity. Now you've delivered them the value, customer value. What was customer value?
Cost and benefit.
Cost and benefit, we talked about that. So you've delivered them the benefit. Now it's your time to get the benefit, that is profits. ठीक है जी? So capture value from customer and create profits and customer equity. Now, when we talk about capturing value, we're also talking about at the very same time customer loyalty. If the customer is loyal, then that means he'll keep on using your product. If he keeps on using your product, then that means there would be a steady stream of profit. Yes? So if I go to Nestle, every time I make groceries, then that means Nestle would get something out of my pocket every time. So that is customer loyalty. So you need to ensure customer loyalty and retention. Because making a new customer or getting a new customer is harder than retaining one. It costs more to get a new customer than to retain an older customer. So that's why you want to retain the old customer. How can you retain? By delivering what you promise, or by delivering or over-delivering what you promise, by creating customer delight. Every time you delight the customer, you increase the customer loyalty. Retention means keeping the customer. So if somebody uses Nestle and he switches to Allpers, then that means Nestle has failed to retain the customer. If he keeps on using Nestle every time he goes to the market, that means he's retaining. Retain का क्या मतलब होता है? पास रखना. ठीक है? So if the company is able to keep the customer, that means the company is retaining the customer. समझ में आता है? Okay. Now talking about share of customer. What is share of customer?
How much the customer purchases?
How much customer purchases from you. Okay, that's a good way of putting it. Share of customer is defined as a company's share in customers purchasing in their product category. So whatever product category I make, how much does the customer purchase it? So let's say if I make dairy products, how much dairy does the customer purchase from my company? So if I'm Nestle, does the prospector or does the customer buy my the dairy products? क्या क्या आता है dairy product Nestle का? Yogurt and balai or juice, and juice is not a dairy product. Come on. All these dairy products. How many dairy products does Nestle end up buying from? Does the customer end up buying from? Nestle would represent Nestle's share in the basket of the customer. Okay, and that is what share of customer is. समझ में आता है? So let's say if I go to do grocery, how many Nestle products do I end up buying? That is share of the customer. Now what companies do? They try to increase the share of the customer. A good example of that is Amazon. Now Amazon started off as a online book selling company, right? It was selling books only. But soon it realized that it could expand or it could grow the share of customer. Now what it sells? Pretty much everything, right? So that is how they've increased the share of the customer. Make sense? Now coming down to quiet. Coming down to customer equity. What is customer equity? What is customer equity?
Share of customer is, are we putting this term in the context of company? Like, is this the share of customers in the company's basket or
in customers' basket. So if you're purchasing grocery products, how many products of a certain brand do you purchase? So whatever, let's say आप L'Oreal के 15-20 products खरीदती हैं, then that means the L'Oreal's share in your basket is this much.
Why don't we use the term company, share of company?
That's how the terminology is. ठीक है? But that's the simple way of putting it. Yeah? Customers' equity. What is customers' equity? Now, customers' equity is the total combined customer lifetime value of all companies' customers. So, one customer, how much value does he give? You calculate that, and then you total all the customers' value. So, let's say I give value rupees 10 in all my lifetime to a certain company. She gives rupees 20. She gives rupees 20 again. She gives rupees 10. Calculate total all the value. How much that is? 10, 10, 40. Kitne bane? 60. Rupees 60. So rupees 60 is what? It is customers' equity. That's the value that I've given to the company in my lifetime. So that is customers' equity. Now, customer equity is a better measure than profitability in current sales. It's a better measure of profitability in terms, in comparison to current sales. Why? Why would you consider it as a better measure?
It showed the growth, maybe.
Because it incorporates whatever has happened in the past, whatever is going to be happening in the future. So whenever we talk about lifetime of value, then that means we're talking about what has happened in the past and whatever has happened in the future. So current sales only tells you the current sales. So it talks about both future and past. So it's a more comprehensive measure of telling where the company stands, right? Is there a difference between brand equity and customer equity? No? There's no difference? Sir, is there a difference between customer equity and brand equity?
मैम कस्टमर में कस्टमर से रिलेट होती है और ब्रांड में जो कस्टमर ब्रांड यूज कर रहा होता है उससे रिलेट होती है थोड़ी।
नहीं। चल, what's the difference between brand equity and customer equity? I'm giving you 1 minute. Think over it. जी?
जो वैल्यू ब्रांड अपने कस्टमर्स को दे।
अच्छा, तो that खुद समझ में आ रहा है जो बोल रहे हो? आ रहा है? समझा नहीं पा रहे, चलिए ठीक है। और Now there's a difference between customer equity and brand equity. Whatever we're going to study later, it would generally be brand equity. ठीक है जी? This is a concept that students generally don't tend to understand till the 8th semester. ठीक है, इसको अभी से सीधा कर लेते हैं. ठीक है? So customer equity and brand equity is one of the drivers of customer equity. Then that means brand equity contributes to customers equity. Customer equity के और बहुत से drivers हैं. For instance, value equity. For instance, retention equity. So these are generally 3 drivers of customer equity. So customer equity is a bigger term and brand equity is a smaller term. It's part of it. We can put it that way. Any other question? And no question? You're very good students. You understand everything. Huh? Brand equity? General example as such nahi ho paayegi. Why do I say that? Because calculating customer equity is not simple as it looks. जितना मैंने बताया 10, 20, 30 इस तरह नहीं होती. ठीक है? There's a discounted rate, the very complex predictive models that run behind when you're calculating customer equity, right? So exemplify karna, it's not possible here. ठीक है? But what you need to understand is brand equity is a smaller term. It just pertains to the brand itself, whereas customer equity is a bigger term that takes into account value equity. Value equity is what? The value that customer thinks you, the value that you deliver. Then retention, what is your retention rate? What is your retention value? Okay? So it is a bigger term and brand equity is a smaller term. Okay? We'll simply put it that way. Any other question? So with this we've come to the end of lecture 2.